Welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on our first user forum of 2024. We're delighted to have with us Marguerite Broby from Archaea, and we're going to be looking in detail at a case study we've done with Archaea on the chemical tanks. Throughout this user forum, please feel free to add questions in the chat and we'll get to those whenever we can, but definitely at the end as a Q&A session. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm very interested in any questions that you've got. So today we're going to be looking at some new features in Ingenuity 7 as usual, and then the rest of the session is going to be an in-depth case study on virtual flow metering on tanks and chemical dosing. So we're going to go through from the operator's perspective to start with, and then a behind the scenes look at how we've done the analysis, built the algorithms, and then built the dashboard. So quick teaser, what's coming. We're looking at a dosing dashboard for chemicals in operations. The challenge was that there was no online flow meters. Everything had to be done from the change in tank levels. And that was quite difficult, especially for some of the tanks. So our early attempts had a lot of instability. You can see an example here from one of the tank level sensors. And I've just highlighted a period that's 4 hours long. So you can see that this instability in the level didn't happen quickly. It was actually for quite long periods, the level measurement would be heading in the wrong direction. And it's only by looking at the bigger picture that you can work out what's going on. For example, where the arrows are, is this a tank fill starting or is the tank flowing? For the second arrow, is the tank flowing or not? Is it stable? And then later on, we've got another period. Is the tank still flowing? Is it stable? This is where our algorithm is at right now, what we've managed to get from it. So you can see we have a little delay before we decide for sure that the tank's flowing. And then we keep the flow fairly stable. At the moment, we're seeing this as not flowing, but maybe it should be. But then we resume flowing again, and we're able to ride out these periods of instability a lot better than we used to, certainly. This was our first attempt at it, and the line in darker blue, you can see how much variability there is in the flow that we were calculating. And the line in white is our current, where we're at now. It's more stable. Is it perfect? No, I think there's probably still opportunity for improvement, but it's a lot better than it was. So this is what we'll go through today and how we got there. But before we do that, I want to talk through just some of the new features in Ingenuity. And my PowerPoint's just thinking about this for a while. We've got 3 new features that I want to talk to you about. We've got the reporting, we've got manual data entry, and we've got a new thing called Ingenuity Hub as well. So the first thing I'll show you is the manual data entry. This is a feature we had in Ingenuity 6, so it's not new to Ingenuity in that sense, but we've rethought how we do it in Ingenuity 7. This is an example of a dashboard that we've made. It's like a walk around checklist. And we want these values online, and we'd also like to manually enter them. So it's completely user configurable. The values come from a historian, but we've now got the ability to flag them as writable. So in the dashboard, we can say that this value is writable. That means when we press this button up here, update data, it will bring up a form where we can manually enter data for any of the values in this dashboard that we've flagged. So if I wanted to update this with a new value, so I'll give it a value of 72 and write it back. Now my value's been updated. I've written 72, but it still behaves the same as everything else. It's in a historian. I can click it, I can trend it. So there's my new value, 72 in there. So the nice thing about this is it's a lot more flexible, and we can you can have things that look like dashboards but are also manual entry. It's very, very configurable. The next feature we've got is reports. Now, again, we had reports in Ingenuity 6, but we've been rethinking how we could do this. So there's an icon here, reports. If I go in here, and I click Create Report. Previously, you had to add a component to a dashboard to turn it into a report. Now, configuring a report is completely separate from the dashboard. So if I'll just give this report a name. I'm going to say this is my checklist report. I want to take this from a dashboard in the main space. I'm going to use my manual entry walk round checklist as the source for this report. And you can see here it's pulled the dashboard in, and I can see what I'm going to get in the report. What's really nice here is that I can hide components from the dashboard. Whereas before we had versions and everything would be on the same template. Now we do it a little bit differently in that you pull the dashboard into a wrapper, and then you can say what components you want to hide, if any. I can now run it automatically on a schedule if I want. Currently, we have days of the week, but we're going to be adding weekly, monthly, 6-monthly, whatever as well. We're going to be expanding the schedule. We can send it to recipients. So I could send it to myself. And we can say the hour that we want to create, we want it to default to when we run the report. You still have the ability to set the time of the report and issue it manually, but we've also got this scheduling as before. And the last thing to show you is Ingenuity Hub. So if you have the admin levels in your space, or rather in your instance, you'll now get this option, Ingenuity Hub, appear. If you click it, this brings up the ability to manage content and users and things within the system. What's particularly useful is the news items. Now we can create news items from this hub. So there's up to 4 visible at any time. And these news items are what appear on the home page when anyone logs in. So when you first load your application, you see these four news items along with the recent stuff on the left. So now you can configure those from Ingenuity Hub.